everybody loves coffee. That's because it's addictive. Good morning, buenos dias, xin chao, ni hao, bonjour, what's up? Today we're going to do chapter 5 of The Handmaid's Tale. Chapter 5, the narrator and of Glenn, the two handmaids, visit the grocery store Milk and Honey. They see a pregnant woman, Janine. After Milk and Honey, they go to All Flesh, which is the grocery store. In the grocery store, when she's looking at the meat and the flesh of the animals, the narrator has a flashback to Luke, her partner, her husband, and this she. And the she is her daughter. So we find out that the handmaid had a daughter, which is both clearly her blessing and her curse, right? In this past life, the daughter she's yearning for, that she misses, but also the fact that she had a daughter is the reason she's now forced to be a handmaid, because they have evidence that she was fertile, that she could literally make a baby. After the flashback, she buys a chicken. She exchanges the token she was given for the chicken. And then they leave the store, and outside in the store, they're turned into a sort of spectacle for a group of Japanese tourists. And it's this really jarring moment where you think, wait, there's tourists? Why are these people at? What's going on? We thought we were in this sort of, back to the days of Pilgrims, puritanical America. But no, Atwood jars us out of this. We have Japanese tourists in miniskirts and business suits, and the women are wearing red lipstick and high-heeled shoes. Get right into it, into the deeper analysis. As she often does, Atwood starts the chapter with a kind of signal or a word, a message which is coming. And here, the first word is literally doubled. So doubled, I walked. And doubled can mean bent over in pain, which we know she is. But she's also doubled in the sense that there's two handmaids. There's a pair of them walking along together, synchronously, in tandem. So this brings up this idea, these themes of pairs, right? Of everyone being a reproduction or a copy of the world itself, of being a mirror world or a kind of second America, a distorted, convex vision of the future. And she continues, she tells us the street is like a museum, so it's like a miniature set, right? Like as if she's being viewed through glass. They're this spectacle for the tourists from the last chapter. They're being watched by soldiers and guards. So everything here is false, right? It's a world of facades. So it's just the front, it's the sheen. You see the red costume and the red uniform, the white wings, but it's hiding the interior dialogue we're hearing. The place is named the Republic of Gilead, and this Republic of Gilead is a fake, right? It's America's double. It's the dark doppelganger, or the worst case scenario of what can happen if America were to swing too far to the religious right. Remember, Atwood's writing in the early 80s, when the original Reaganite Let's Make America Great Again moral majority was gaining political power. So she was worried about this happening, and she said quite literally that any event in the book is one that's taken place somewhere else. So whether it was Romania, which literally banned abortion, and the state took control of women's bodies, forcing them to see a gynecologist once a month, or Nazi Germany forcing purity and cleanliness and hygienic laws, this total submission of the individual and the body to the state and being collective, becoming property of the government. Gilead comes from Hosea, and in Gilead is a city of those who work iniquity. It is stained with blood. So if you go to the scripture, you find out that this is a place stained with blood, and those who work with iniquity. Well, what's iniquity? It's immorality. It's the grossly unfair behavior. So there's a kind of irony here where, on the one hand, true, these people are immoral and their behavior is gross and unfair, but they're preaching from a place where in their minds they're morally correct, or it's their morality or certitude is what's encouraged them, or in their minds forced them to take over America. And just like Gilead, the city, is stained with blood, everyone in Gilead is marked, right? They're marked with stripes, with badges, with numbers, with tattoos like in the Holocaust, with the color red or the color blue or the color green. All of these symbolic things are marks, So again, you have an allusion here to like the Scarlet Letter, right? The Letter is a famous old American novel, and in it, Nathaniel Hawthorne had a woman branded with a red A, and it was to signify that she was an adulterer, she was a cheater. She'd gone against the moral code and against the public. And that tale is, built upon and referenced here. We're told about all the old patriarchal rules. So this is back when it was, democracy, freedom too. But women still, don't open your door at night, don't go out alone, don't talk to strangers, don't do this, don't do that. So even though they supposedly had the freedom to do as they pleased, there were all these patronizing patriarchal rules that they were supposed to follow. So there's a hypocrisy there. Aunt Lydia gives us the definition of freedom to versus freedom from. So freedom to is usually associated with individual rights, whereas freedom from is like the state protects you from other states and from outside violence and imposition, but they take away all your individual rights. So you have to do collectively as a whole what's best for the state. In The Handmaid's Tale here, it's bear children, right? She has to give up her body, they'll protect her life, but she no longer has a choice of what she does with her body. Positive liberty, the freedom from, is often associated with authoritarianism, with total control by the state. And then Aunt Lydia almost flippantly tells her, don't underrate it, So don't knock it. Don't say anything bad about this because it could be worse, right? It's a threat. We're told that the society was dying of too much noise. So it's this sort of plethora of choice. And now that choice has been eliminated. It's been narrowed, like looking through a telescope or a lens. This sort of digression about plastic bags here. And the narrator's talking about how she was worried her own daughter could choke or asphyxiate from a garbage bag. This little bit with the Japanese tourists kind of feel like a digression or a bit off course. It again sort of shocks us. That said, in the 80s when Atwood was writing, there was a lot of Japanese tourism. Japan was sort of the up and coming economic power or miracle. Big companies like Sony, on the other side of this lens, etc. Endo, Mitsubishi. The Japanese here are playing the role of westernized Japanese. So the West has reverted to this prior tense, has rewritten their history, and they're now cloistered and covered up in their dark red habits, hiding their ankles and no lipstick and faces veiled and covered with wings and blinders. And the description of the Japanese tourists, especially the women, is very sexualized, right? So here they're wearing red lipstick outlining the dark cavities of their mouths, like scrawls on a washroom wall of a time before. So their mouths again reference this idea of the palimpsest metaphor. So this cultural palimpsest idea is, I think Atwood really believes it. She's telling us this, right? That this is her fear for the future, her dystopian idea of what can happen when she's writing in 1984 is a literal erasing and rewriting of all of the individual rights that have been gained. So the chapter finishes with a really dark moment where the two handmaids are forced to say whether they're happy. Are you happy? The interpreter asks them for the Japanese that they're being made a spectacle for. And the narrator, we're as an audience, as a reader, hoping she of course says something and speaks out. But she can't, right? There's total thought control happening. Her mind is no longer a free place. And so she says, yeah, I'm happy. And then there's a plea to us, the reader, where she breaks down this fourth wall. And she says, well, what else can I say?